we just debunk on when we are putting together a family charter or a family constitution, so to speak, and we come across the aspect of family dispute resolution? What are the integral parts that we should be including in this family charter? Obviously, for example, should a dispute arise, first start on which aspect? I do remember, Karen, you did touch on this earlier this year.
Now, so again, like Naz said, every family is different. So it's got to be a conversation with, if the family's already got a family council, with the family council to determine, first of all, what's the trigger? What triggers it? How do we know that we now have a dispute that requires a third party to come in and assist with that dispute? When do we trigger that? What is the process before we get to that? So are we having a meeting with the family council? Are they first going to try and see if they can resolve the issue? If they can't resolve the issue, is it someone within the family council who then says, okay, we now need a facilitator to come in and assist us, and this is our appointed facilitator, or whoever it is, we call it a family dispute facilitator. And that person then comes in who's an impartial third party who knows the family, knows the dynamics of the family. That's where what we're offering is so different, right? But in your constitution or your governance documents, you need to have the steps that need to be taken. And every single family is going to be different. There's not one. It's not a copy-paste. It can never be a copy-paste, because you could have a family of 100 members. It's going to be very different to a family of 4.
I agree with what Karen said. Speaking to family charters and how important it is to actually have those that steps in place and the protocols in place. And the important thing to remember, firstly, is that as we understand, and at the department that you work in as well, families don't identify that they have a problem until they have a problem. So it's important to have those mechanisms in place so that the family knows that there's a direction that they can go. Otherwise, it just escalates and escalates, and unless it's nipped in the bud. Even if it's the smallest dispute, it needs to be nipped in the bud. But the thing about having a protocol in place, it doesn't just need to be in the family charter or the family constitution. It needs to be identified and highlighted in every single document. And not just that, it needs to be detailed. As Karen said, who identifies that there's a dispute? What kind of dispute is it classified in? Who needs to be involved in that mediation process? And the other thing we also need to realize is that even in our contracts that we draft, very often people have a standardized mediation clause, like if there's a dispute within the business or between the parties, then you need to resort to mediation. But the important thing is that mediation is just one aspect of dispute resolution. Yes, we specialize in mediation, but mediation itself is not dispute resolution. Dispute resolution is multifaceted. So, for example, how you have people with, if you identify a technological issue and we want to program something to resolve that problem, we develop a code. Just like that, every family is different. So Karen and I, as a specialist, we go into the families, we do a whole lot of psychometric tests and other sort of testing to be able to identify exactly what the dynamic of this family is and what do we need to code in order to bring the family to a particular point. Because we're not just wanting to resolve a dispute, we need them to be able to get to a point where they're able to understand their dispute. Because if they don't, they're not